This is my Lake 250 that I bought sight unseen. I don't recommend everybody going and buying an airplane sight unseen, meaning that you should go and do a pre-purchase inspection before you buy it, because you could lose your butt and it's just not real smart to do. But follow along with me in this video to see what I find. I want to take all those radios out of there, that DME, basically anything that's in that panel I want out of there. I'm almost thinking about going just basic IFR. Nothing crazy, nothing super expensive, nothing super tech savvy. And the reason I don't want to go too tech savvy is because this is a boat. It floats, and when you get into a lake, seaplane, when you're wet, there's water everywhere. And I'm going to be doing all these avionics by myself. I'm not an avionics guy. I don't know how to do avionics, but I'm going to learn because I got to keep the price down, because I basically blew my wad when I bought it. This is me just tearing this thing down for an annual inspection. I figured I was going to do a quick annual. Not a quick annual, an extensive annual, because I never looked at the airplane before I bought it. So now I got to rip everything apart and go through it and see what I bought. I don't advise you trying to buy an airplane without doing a pre-purchase inspection, because you can really get upside down really quick. So here we go. So when I started taking out the floor wasn't even screwed down. There was no screws in the floor at all. It's like they threw it all back together and I flew it home like that, which isn't that dangerous. But oh, if you guys know any other alternative to that fiberglass insulation, I want that out of there. But what else can I use that's weight sensitive? I don't want a lot of weight, which probably means that I should probably leave that fiberglass alone. The only thing I don't like is, you could see from the video that it's just floating around the cockpit and you're breathing it. Nasty stuff. Me just doing a preliminary inspection on this airplane. Nothing exciting. See those old autopilot big vacuum canisters? Each one of those weighs 2 pounds each, and the autopilot does not work. So I want to take those out of there. I counted like 12 pounds that I could remove just from that alone, not including the head unit. So this was my ultimate, I want to remove it. This is the heater. That's 38 pounds of weight. I found a bird nest behind here. Nasty. You can tell nobody took that off at the last annual. And the airplane was in annual. But we all know what those annuals look like. Fuel drains are leaking. This is me taking off the hull stuff. Nothing exciting here. See all those panels? They're all silicone together because that's the water line, and that right there is the hydraulics bay, which is a continuation of what I'm doing right now. See that panel I'm taking off right there? That's the hell hole. That is awful working in there. I found this broken tube, so I fixed that. But you see that down there? That's the seal. That's the watertight seal for the aileron boots, and that is a pain in the butt to change. It's awful. It's a solid 2-day job. And when you put all those panels back together, they got to be glued down with silicone, and not a clear silicone, because everybody knows that clear silicone is corrosive. That's no joke either. Look it up. Okay, here's something interesting. See that battery? They were just floating around. And the positive line right there is going right on top of the negative, and it was like jumping around while we were flying back. And yes, I looked at it before we went, and I said it was okay. But in today's episode of Why the Hell Did I Get Involved in This, we degreased the engine and pulled the exhaust. And we're going to clean up all those exhaust ports because they were leaking, and we're going to do all the valve cover gaskets because they were leaking onto the exhaust and making a mess. But we got the engine all nice and clean. And I just found out today that the magnetos are due. So now I got to pull the magnetos and send them out. And if everything goes right, they should be about $600 a piece. But you know, and I know that it's not going to be $600 each. It's going to be like $1,000 each because it's aviation. Okay, this engine ran superb, by the way. Oh, we gotta pause it right here because I got a lot to say about this part. This is the boots, okay? The Aileron boots. They're watertight boots that go from the aileron push-pull tube to the fuselage to keep water from going into the fuselage. Well, changing these boots is a big job, and there's a lot of tribal knowledge behind changing these boots, as I found out. It took me 2 days to do, and it should be a simple job, but it's not. So if you look at a lake, go under the wheel well and look at the aileron boot. So that's the rudder boot right there. Here is the trim tab. The trim tab's not a big job. It's not that difficult, but you can see it was leaking. It was leaking through the tube. There's the trim tab. Count your threads before you start. I counted 6, and if you're like me, I have craft memory, which stands for can't remember a flippin' thing. so I have to write it down. This is me struggling to get this thing apart because it's been painted a million times. Stop painting your actuators. Just put a little tape on there before you paint it. All these actuators just got white paint on there. You gotta get the paint off. It's a pain. You can't even get it through the hole. But this is what the actuator looked like. It probably hadn't been done in a long time, but it was nasty. The fluid was black. It was just dirty. So it's not a big job. All I'm doing here is draining the fluid out. You're basically just disassembling it. It comes apart from the back. The only thing really holding it together is that little tube. I pulled it out. Thing comes right apart. Clean it. Remember, aviation maintenance is like 5% work and like 75% cleaning. Remember, do the cheap shit first. And then second, you do the easy stuff second. And then the third thing you do is you do the hard stuff. And then the fourth thing you do is you do the expensive stuff. That's the rules. That's the order. You don't start at the expensive stuff. I need you guys to like and subscribe. I'm trying to become rich and famous on YouTube. Besides, I need gas money to fly this 18-gallon-an-hour seaplane around and go do some of the cool adventures that I want to go do.